And
action! Welcome back to Cinema Files. This is our opening episode of Season 2.
Season 2, our senior year!
Today we are going to be discussing some of our favorite underrated movies, and we're going to be starting off with Miss Amber Owens.
Yes, okay, so my underrated movie is Treasure Planet, and if you haven't watched that, go watch it. A quick little synopsis, it's in this universe where basically it's a bunch of different aliens that all live together harmoniously, and they don't really understand each other, but they kind of just accept each other. And another little tidbit is that their space is like our ocean combined. Like, they have like traditional pirate ships that fly through the space. That's the universe.
That's so cool. I haven't seen that movie in like
It's so
forever.
I know it's a Disney movie, but I have never watched it.
And
I
me
remember
neither.
seeing it. My grandma had it like on VHS tape, but I just never watched it.
I remember the main guy from it.
Yeah, you do. I know what you're talking about.
Hawkins, that's the main dude. And it's the same animation style as like Atlantis and stuff, so it's really good. And there's just so much detail in it. And it's about this kid, Jim Hawkins, who's 15, and he's a troubled kid. He's like a genius that doesn't really know where to put his talents. You know, kind of, it's another genius.
He hasn't had correct guidance.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
his dad left and he didn't have a father figure.
Oh.
And his single mom is running an inn and just trying her best.
Girl boss.
But
Fatherless
she is a girl
behavior.
boss. And basically this dude just like crashes his spaceship in their front yard and he's dying and he gives him this little sphere. And Jim is like, "What's this?" And he's like, and the dying dude's like, "Beware the cyborg," and then croaks. And so that just leads Jim and Mr. Doppler into this adventure through space, because the sphere is a map to a place called Treasure Planet, which is a massive like machine planet full of treasure.
That sounds so much fun.
It's so cool.
Yeah, I feel like movies during that era of Disney are so underrated. They had like the best art style, the most fun kind of like stories.
Mm-hmm.
I think Atlantis, Treasure Planet was El Dorado. Was that Disney at the time?
They were pumping out a lot of movies, and
And
they
then-
were all very like original, creative ideas.
Yeah,
too.
and it looked so cool. And now we have like
Just
We're making the
remakes now. Yeah.
We don't need a fourth Descendants. No, I'm sorry.
That kind of era of movies, Treasure Planet, Atlantis, and the rest of them, did they ever hit the box office, or did they go straight to DVD? Because I don't remember seeing very much
I
of
don't
them.
remember.
They were in theaters,
I thought it
but
was
they weren't
90s,
big.
Right?
Oh, well then no wonder I don't remember.
Yeah. But I feel like it probably did come out in the movie theaters just for a short time.
But they just
Disney.
never really went big that era, because it was right after like the Disney Renaissance thing
Right.
with like all that stuff. And then they started trying new things. And there was like Notre Dame, and like that's whenever there's like a dip, I guess.
Yeah.
Nothing like
Almost like a tone shift.
yeah, nothing like now. But people saw like the end of Disney's great era of like the Disney princesses, Ariel, and all of that.
They
But there were some
expanding.
certified bangers like Treasure Planet that came out of that era.
I definitely need to watch it.
You do, and then like the soundtrack, they have quite a few little montages to just amazing like rock songs, but they work. It's like him
Ooh.
coming of age. It completely fits Jim's vibe because he's like rugged, raised by a single mother in the middle of nowhere. He surfs on some space surfboard. He's so cool. He's so cool. We're only 15 and doing that.
I know, now I feel like a cougar.
awesome.
You know, I just called him out who's 15.
Hey, it's still legal. You're not 18 yet.
You're right.
Hey.
There's still time.
No, I've
I
never.
don't think we're.
Might have to cut that out. Now, I've never seen Treasure Planet, but I have seen Atlantis, and one huge thing I appreciated in that movie was just the aesthetics of the world and the environment. I know in that one they really emphasized the ancient sources of magic and how they used machinery without technology. Can you tell us a little bit about the aesthetics of Treasure Planet?
The aesthetics, it's like kind of futuristic because everybody's together and it's just a bunch of different machines with the aliens. Like their spaceship is a pirate ship just flying through space. And it's like the aesthetic of a pirate. But the captain, because Dr. Doppler is this like astrologist and he's kind of a foil of Hawkins because he's like
AP Lit words.
Ooh, Miss Cottrell.
Listen up.
Jim is 15. He never thinks about anything. There's many examples of that. Like, Mr. Doppler was they were trying to escape the inn burning down. I didn't explain that, but go watch it. And Mr. Doppler's like, let's just jump, and he starts counting off, but then he starts rambling, and Jim just barrels in and goes 3 and pushes them off the edge because he doesn't even think, he just follows his instincts. And he's a genius, he's a natural at all this like mechanical stuff and space stuff. He's just a natural at adventuring. And Mr. Doppler is like 30-something, and he's gone through so many schools and like educations. He has a doctorate, and he just like he doesn't come naturally to him. Like he's worked his entire life to get on the level, and Jim is just flying right past him.
So it's like the prodigy versus the grizzled veteran. That's a very cool
But
dynamic.
the aesthetic, it's just like rugged but beautiful in the same way.
Almost like a fantasy
Yes.
steampunk kind of feel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's so
Got
cool.
it. I love that.
It's because there's so much detail, but it's intentionally rough around the edges. Like, because it's a pirate ship, but the
Yes.
captain is like a regal, like, kind of reminds me of like a British captain of like when the pirate age.
Mm-hmm.
I'm only thinking of like Pirates of the Caribbean with like the
I'm
white
thinking
wings
of, like,
versus.
Star Wars X.
Yeah.
Pirates
Yeah.
of the Caribbean. That's what it sounded like to me.
It's very cool.
Yeah.
That sounds so much fun. I love that.
Definitely something to put on the to-watch list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
What's
just
it-
tons of like details, like foreshadowing and just callbacks, just tons of even like plot details, not just animation details.
Yeah. I haven't seen it in a while. Wasn't there like a plot twist or something where it's like,
Yes.
what was it? 'Cause I can't remember. It's been a long time.
Okay,
Spoiler alert.
yeah,
Spoiler alert. Yeah.
Skip ahead.
You skipped the spoiler. You missed the spoiler-free section.
So Jim meets the cook on the ship, Mr. Silver, and Mr. Silver is actually the lead pirate of the crew that was hired, and he becomes like a father figure to Jim against his like best wishes, and he doesn't kill Jim when he takes the sphere back, and they kind of go head to head, but in the end Mr. Silver saves Jim, and he kind of just gives up his pirate evil ways and gives up his lifelong dream because he wanted to save Jim instead. So it was like a plot twist because he was evil, but then he became not as evil.
He redeemed himself.
Yeah, good character arc there.
That's fun.
Because even against his entire pirate crew, like he chose to follow this little kid that he just met, and he's like a really old, evil cyborg pirate. So
That's so sweet. I love those kind of like found family tropes.
it was so
Yes.
Melts your
Found
heart
family
every time.
best. Nothing beats like a good found family. I'm not usually a person that goes for like tropes and things, you know. But if it's a found family, immediately, I'm sold.
There's something so beautiful about creating a bond with someone, whether that's, you know, romantic or familial or platonic, that just kind of transcends everything else in your life and convinces you to change your ways, change for the better, like you said.
Yes.
I'm philosophical.
Very philosophical.
Anyway, are there any other big points you wanted to touch on for this awesome movie?
No, but I might tie it into y'all's.
Okay.
Who wants to go next?
If no one else will, I'll go.
All right.
I'd rather.
So, The Last Unicorn
Yes!
is a 1980s dark fantasy animated movie. Have you seen this movie?
I have not, but I've seen a lot about it on TikTok, and that's definitely like on my to-watch.
It's all. It's like a TikTok thing.
I did a whole deep dive because of
Okay.
like metaphors for like other stuff, and I was like,
Yeah.
this is so cool. I was like, people were doing it back in the 80s.
It's dark fantasy. It's animated. This is like a key part of my childhood. I distinctly remember. I think we had it on like VHS, and we would watch it, and it was so good. Okay.
VHS, old school.
I know, right?
I stacked those.
I
Okay.
loved watching it at my grandma's house.
Plot. Listening to the plot, because it's so basically. This unicorn is the last of her kind as far as she knows. She knows there's others out there, but she doesn't know where there are. So she sets off on a mission from her little forest out into the world to try and find these unicorns. And that's where she finds out that apparently all the unicorns have been herded up by the Red Bull, not the energy drink. Not the energy drink. This is pre-Red Bull energy drink. Okay, it's herded by the Red Bull and like they're out in the ocean because there's this king that really likes the unicorns. So basically, she goes on this journey to try and get there. She meets a funky little wizard guy who isn't that good at magic, and this girl this like other older lady who really likes unicorns. And then at one point, she gets turned into a human. Okay. And they go to the castle of the king that basically keeps all the unicorns. Mm-hmm. And as she's a human, she slowly like forgets about her life as a unicorn, which is so cool. Oh. But then there's a stupid, unnecessary romantic side plot with like the prince, who's really ugly. Because I mean, like, the unicorn when she turns to a girl is beautiful. The prince, he low key looks like a messed up beetle.
We can insert a picture here.
Insert a picture here, and that ensues. But then in the end, they save the unicorns, and she chooses to live as a unicorn. So it doesn't end romantically. So she ends her life as a unicorn. In this movie, it's one of those that's like you start it, and then for some reason it's crazy. There's some like crazy deep stuff in it. I have my notes app. Let me pull up the notes app.
I saw people on TikTok of like the deep metaphors. I was like, wait, what?
Yes. Wait, let's look at one of my favorite quotes. Okay, this goes really hard. Remember, this is a kids movie. I can feel my body dying all around me. Whenever she gets turned into a human, because unicorns are immortal. Okay, she is upset because she doesn't want to be human, and she's like, I can feel this body dying all around me. And then there's other cool quotes like, if you become human enough to cry, no magic in the world can change you back. There are no happy endings because nothing ends. But it is so good.
That's devastating.
It is.
Oh my gosh.
Sad.
And here's some fun little history on the studio. I don't know if there's any like Studio Ghibli fans out there. They do like
Studio
spirit.
Ghibli?
It's connected in a way. I wouldn't do like a deep dive. So like I have it in my thing. Okay, this was animated by the studio Topcraft, which was a predecessor to Studio Ghibli. Okay, and they are the ones who animated Nausicaa Valley of the Wind. So Nausicaa Valley of the Wind is usually considered a Studio Ghibli movie because it was directed by Miyazaki, a Studio Ghibli director, and had like all the people who worked on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But then like soon after that movie came out is whenever Topcraft kind of got. Like, Studio Ghibli was made, Topcraft kind of got absorbed by Studio Ghibli.
Okay.
So, Nausicaa Valley of the Wind, any Studio Ghibli fans, was technically animated by the same studio, Topcraft.
That's so cool.
The more you know. So, it's interesting, this film is, like, American, it's about a European story, but it still has, it was animated by a Japanese studio, which is really interesting. Yeah, 1 second. Okay.
I also loved like the animation style of it, like the
It's
little
so-
like bits and pieces that like the clips that I saw like on TikTok. I was like, this is so cutesy, but I'm like, it's so like,
Yeah, the Red Bull scared me as a child. Like I loved this movie and I watched it a million times, but it scared me. Like I was terrified. Like I remember loving this so much, I was scared to rewatch it for this podcast. I'm like, oh my god, what if it's actually just terrible?
Don't want to ruin the magic.
Yeah, but I watched it and I'm not gonna say it was perfect. It wasn't perfect. The soundtrack, it's kind of mid. There's like probably like the last unicorn. You know, it's like that's kind of the vibe of it, you know. And then halfway through, it turned into a musical for like 3 songs.
Oh, interesting.
Like there's a song sung by the unicorn as a princess, by the guy love interest, and like a duet together. And there's no other musical
well, they had to throw it in
elements.
there.
They had to throw it in there, and they weren't that memorable. Okay, so, but I have a deep love for like the dark fantasy type of thing around this time, like Dark Crystal, Neverending Story, Labyrinth, that vibe,
Gosh.
and this fits so perfectly into it. It's just amazing. And also it kind of have a cool message. Of course, it's about like a unicorn. It's a kids movie, but also it's about like losing your true self while growing up. Because whenever she becomes a human, she's becoming a woman.
Yeah, like
you
lost
know?
in innocence type of thing.
Yeah, and she starts forgetting what made her a unicorn. This pure and innocence that she had when she was a unicorn. 5 minutes. Okay. This like pure innocence she had when she was a unicorn, but then it's interesting because she changed back and she rediscovered it. But then from that journey of being a human, she acknowledges in the movie that she will never be the same, and it changed her. And so even though it doesn't end with the romance and the prince, thank God, I completely forgot about that whenever I watched it this time because it was that forgettable. But like, I'm sorry, I've been absolutely yapping about this movie. I have notes app.
Me too.
That's crazy.
That's my notes too.
Okay, so
I have kind of a question pertaining to her time as a human. So you mentioned that obviously it kind of shifts into a musical, and then she has this weird romance subplot. Do you think those two aspects that obviously came across as very strange and almost not fitting into the rest of the story was an aspect of her life as a human not fitting into herself as a unicorn?
That could be, honestly.
Like, everything
That's
like,
smart.
It just seems so out of
Change.
place, where it's like, this is obviously not supposed
It
to
does seem out of place. I think they wanted you to probably root for the romance because it's still a kids movie.
Yeah.
It's still trying
It's
to
a
go off that
selling point.
like Disney formula, but I completely forgot about it. Honestly, I like halfway remembered a romance, but I thought that it was with the magic guy. But I think he's actually significantly
The
older.
weird little quirked up wizard guy?
Yeah, because I completely forgot the other guy existed. Because the quirked up wizard guy, I loved him, but I think he's actually like significantly. I don't really know how old he is. It's crazy, but she's also immortal, so I guess I don't know.
All
It's
these
crazy.
fantasy creatures are ambiguously just
It is, but it's also very much like it also messages like conservation in it because talking about like the leaving of things innocent, and then there's this one part when she's on her journey to get to the castle and all that. They go by this area where it's like basically a freak show, and there's this. I think it's a harpy was the animal, and it was like it's ugly and everything, but it was. And so it's being kept by this old woman, and they're saying, I want to be set free, but if you free me, you have to free her too.
Yeah.
And they're like, she'll kill you. It's like we're both same creatures on different sides, like dark magic and light magic, but then still letting me free either way. So it's like crazy. It's kind of crazy whenever you look into it, how it didn't do exactly all black and white, and that's just really interesting.
some moral ambiguity there.
It is,
That's
it was really
interesting.
cool. So I completely recommend this movie.
It's deep for a kids movie, dang.
Yeah. Also, I could have read into it way too much, but I also love that it doesn't end in a romance like so many did back then. Mm-hmm. When I was rewatching it, I was scared. I'm like, oh my god, she does turn back into a unicorn, right? This doesn't end with him getting with a Beatles guy.
She deserves better.
She deserves better.
She's a beetle. Give her a unicorn boyfriend.
It's like, why wouldn't she be a unicorn? Because, like, why wouldn't you be an immortal unicorn?
Like the last
I don't want to be in
unicorn.
the
Yeah, and I was scared. I'm like, oh my god, that didn't happen, right? But she did, which was really cool because you don't see that, especially in movies at the time. And she was kind of a different kind of independent female character,
Yeah.
which it was cool. So if y'all are gonna be yapping about that.
So like the overarching theme, or one of them at least, was kind of like the preservation of innocence and staying whole and not like sacrificing parts of yourself.
Yes, it was very much about like finding yourself, and it's definitely crazy watching it. When I'm older, whenever I remember growing up with it and just having like the faint memories of all the events and kind of the fever dream. Because Amber watched some of it the other day. She didn't watch the whole thing, but
The first 30 minutes
yeah.
last night. To see where Riley was coming from, and I had to stop because I had English homework, but
Responsible.
definitely felt interesting to watch.
Like a fever.
I loved it. I definitely did love it. Like I get completely where Riley is coming from,
it is
but
very
it's just
fever
a
dream-esque.
different vibe from the movie I picked. I just thought that was funny.
It is kind of.
And mine's like a
Yeah.
completely different genre.
Yeah.
I know. I
Time
think
period.
us three did like animated movies, and then you had
I have Miss Lisa Frankenstein.
a great movie.
Horror / rom-com. I don't know if we have time to talk about that today.
Oh yeah.
I'll talk about it tomorrow. And I'll keep it spoiler free because I know
Literally
like
30
everybody
seconds.
watching Frankenstein.
All right. So stay tuned, everybody. We're coming back for a part 2, and we're doing Lisa Frankenstein, and I'm going to talk
Yeah.
about Song of the Sea.
We'll either come back for a part 2 or we can like mesh it in, like edit it into this. So either there will be a part 2 or we will suddenly change clothes.
2, 1.
Quick change.
All right,
Okay.
so my underrated movie that I really wanted to talk about is called Song of the Sea, as you can see here. This movie was created by a studio called Cartoon Saloon in Ireland, and it's this really cute little animated movie inspired heavily by, I believe, Norse and Irish folklore. But anyway, quick little synopsis. It centers around these two siblings who lost their mom when they were very young, and they live with their dad in a lighthouse.
Oh my god, that's so cool.
I know, they're adorable. But the reason they lost their mom, and they kind of show this in the beginning of the movie, is because she's a selkie. She's a mythological creature, a woman who can turn into a seal when she puts on a sealskin coat. And so after she gives birth to the little girl, she disappears back into the sea. And they grow up without her, which is very sad. And so the little girl, her name is Saoirse, inherits her mom's silky coat after she leaves. And and I think it's because of the fact that she, too, is a Selkie, and she finds this out along the course of the movie. She can't speak, and so her little brother, or her big brother, pretty much is her guardian as she's growing up, and he doesn't like it. He wants to live his own life and be his own person. He kind of feels smothered by both his dad being very overprotective and having to take care of his little sister all of the time. So he's the rebellious one, and she's the innocent one. And together, after their grandmother tries to separate them from their dad and take care of them in her house in the mainland, they want to get back to the lighthouse. And so it's about their journey, trying to get back to their father, and then trying to reconnect their whole little family dynamic. It's adorable.
That sounds so cute.
Oh my god.
And I like the little animation. It's so cute.
It's really cute.
It's so stylistic. It's beautiful. I think a lot of the imagery they use in this movie is very heavily inspired by like old Irish/Nordic illustrations. So there's a lot of swirls. There's a lot of circle imagery, as you can see here.
Yeah, I can see on the waves. There's like the little, very swirly. I like that.
It almost looks like painted in watercolor. There's these twinkly little fairy lights that help like guide them on their way. It's so cute, and it's such a sweet little movie.
It's so cute.
Yeah.
What's the story behind that big dog? Is that a dog?
It's a big old dog.
So yeah, that's
He's living his best life.
That's their dog that lives with them in the lighthouse. His name is Koo. He's super sweet. And like while the dad's trying to protect both the kids, Koo is kind of their other protector. He goes along with them and looks after them, even after their father sends them away and they have to go live on the mainland with their grandmother.
Oh, that's cute. Okay, so this is kind of awesome. What would like an actual seal coat look like?
That's a good question.
Because that looks really pretty, but that don't look nothing like a seal.
Furry.
Oh, this
Right.
is the seal coat?
Yes, we can
Okay.
see it in her here.
So she can turn into a seal if she puts the coat on.
Uh-huh.
But how did the mother disappear and still give the daughter the coat? If she inherited it.
So that part in the movie is not super clear.
She just dipped. She didn't leave to be a Selkie. She was just like, I'm done.
She's like fully evolved, Selkie.
It has been a long time since I've seen this movie, and I believe the reason that their mother left was because she wanted to protect Saoirse from, I don't even know, the fairy world, the Selkie powers, whatever it was. But obviously the mom has her own coat. She leaves with her own coat. And then Saoirse has this one.
Okay.
But after she's born, their father locks it away, and she's without it for so many years, and she's just lost that part of herself. But when she gets it back, she puts it on, and it's pretty and white like this, and she turns into a white seal.
Aww.
And it kind of helps her visually stand out from all the other gray seals.
So why does the brother not have a coat?
I don't know.
Did
that
mom just
either.
like not like him?
Do you think maybe it's like just like
female
a
thing?
female like
I think it
gene?
is. All Selkies that I've heard of, mythologically at least, have been female.
That makes sense.
So that pretty much.
Usually
is
in
the
like
reason.
mythology stuff, you hear like water things being female.
Yeah.
like a seal mermaid.
And it's really cute. So he's kind of the little replica of their dad, and she's kind of the little replica of their mom.
So cute.
And you can tell them from like how they look, just because they look very
Like the
different. Yeah, the dark
innocent.
hair, dark eyes, and then like the light hair and light eyes.
me and
It
Parker
really,
for
it gives
real.
like a visual.
And she also
of how
looks
different
like
they
the
are.
seals around her. Like her eyes look just like the seals around her.
It looks so cute. I'm just a sucker for a sibling dynamic in a movie.
Absolutely. I think that's my favorite part of this movie is that at the beginning, you know, they kind of resent each other a little bit, especially him because he has to take care of her all the time. And then over the course of the movie, they really grow so much closer as they learn more about their past. And then at the end of the movie, they actually find the mom again.
Really?
Yeah, Saoirse kind of returns to the sea and she meets her mother and she kind of fully transforms into her Selkie self. And then her mom sees her and gives her the option of going to live in the ocean with her and embrace the Selkie side of her life, or she can stay with her family. And she chooses to stay with her family and her dad and her brother. And even though she's just found it, she has to give up that part of her Selkie self. But she has a brother and she has a dad and she has the big dog named Koo. And I think it's really cute.
That's so cute. Oh,
Yeah.
I love that. It's kind of in its own way a found family trope, but it's like you're rediscovering your own family,
Right.
you know,
Learning what it means to be a family for the
Yeah.
first time.
which is really cute.
That's such a big decision for such a small girl.
And they're so little. I think he's 10 and she's like 6.
Dang.
They're little.
That's crazy.
Babies.
But they'd be going on all kinds of adventures.
That's I remember. I think this was nominated for like an Oscar the same year as like Fantastic Mr. Fox.
I think it said this came out in
And-
2014, right?
Like,
I think that sounds right.
Because I remember there was like a video that came out where it was like Oscar nominations, but it was like the characters from the movies talking.
I did see that, yeah.
Yeah, and that's like I don't really know anything about this movie, but I want to watch it. It looks so cute.
I feel like I'm not really doing it justice with my description, but there really is a lot of depth and complexity to it, and like I said, the animation style is just beautiful.
Yeah.
So, even though it didn't win, I feel like the fact that it got nominated is kind of a testament
Oh, yeah,
to
it's
the,
cool.
the
I mean-
movie's quality.
It's a foreign film, and like foreign films, you know, don't get nominated as often sometimes,
Right.
especially animated features, which is really cool.
But yeah, I just really like this movie.
It's cute.
If we have nothing else to say about this one, Layla, do you want to get started on yours?
I will take it. We're saving the best for last. Just kidding. No. Has everyone here seen Lisa Frankenstein?
I have.
You have? Okay. I have watched it like maybe 3-4 times. Okay, so this movie, Lisa Frankenstein, it came out on Valentine's Day this past year, starring Katherine Newton and the one and only Cole Sprouse. Okay, so the best way I could describe this movie is a campy horror rom-com. So it kind of combines a lot of different elements of like people, we're very like kind of niche genres. So I think what kind of like sets up the tone for this movie, it was written by Diablo Cody, who wrote Jennifer's Body and Juno. And it was directed by Zelda Williams, Robin Williams' daughter. This was the first movie she ever directed.
I don't know.
wow.
that.
Yes. So this came out in theaters. The advertising, was virtually nothing. I didn't know about it until my mom told me about it, which I was so surprised. I guess they spent like their whole budget on using Cole Sprouse because I was like, he's like a big actor, and Katherine Newton has been in some like notable stuff too. But honestly, this movie was so camp in the best way. And for those watching who do not know what camp is, I wrote down a little definition. I had to go search up on Urban Dictionary because it's one of those things where it's like, that's camp, but it's like, how do you define camp?
Camp is a state of mind.
Campy refers to intentionally exaggerated thematic or genre elements, self-satirical. So this movie is set in the 1980s, which I think to the whole aesthetic is just very appealing for me, who's a Stranger Things fan. Also, the dad from Stranger Things, Mike's dad, is the Lisa Frankenstein's dad in this movie. So I thought that was a nice little touch. He plays the uninvolved 80s dad very well.
That's his type.
So essentially, Lisa Swallows is a girl in high school, and I don't want to give many spoilers because you guys have to watch it. It's honestly one of the best movies I've seen in a hot minute. But she's in high school, and she wakes up this undead man and essentially turns him how to build a better boy. Do you guys remember? I love that movie.
Oh my God.
But they kind of like murder people.
Also, kind of like Zapped.
Yeah, kind of like Zapped, X, How to Build a Better Boy. She's
good
building her boyfriend, essentially. It's comedically smart. I feel like there are lots of references to other 80s pop culture and to something else. Cole Sprouse's character, Creature, he doesn't really have a name. He doesn't speak the entire movie. So Cole Sprouse has to do a lot of physical acting. And I think that adds a lot of layers to it too, because it's like the best boyfriend is the one who just kind of like sits there. No, I'm just kidding. He's
Sits
like,
there and looks pretty.
yeah. I think that was really fun with like the whole romance plot too, because it's like he can't really didn't express his feelings very well. But once you finally like see them in the end like get together, it's like, oh, like he's fun. And his labor of love to her was violence through love against her enemies.
Well, who doesn't love that?
Who doesn't love that? An undead boyfriend from like the 1800s who can play piano is willing to kill for you.
Gold.
So
Even though it's morally reprehensible thematically in a fictional story, it's so much fun.
It's so much fun.
It's so fun to watch.
it's very exaggerated. Some of this is like really cheesy, but I think it just kind of like notes to the old 80s
Yeah.
horror films. It's very visually appealing. There's lots of bright colors. The soundtrack is impeccable. Just like anything with an 80s soundtrack is awesome.
Honestly, this reminds me so much of this other 80s movie that was like Weird it was called Weird Science, and I remember watching it once. It's like a fever dream, and it's basically these guys create a fake model girlfriend, and that's like all I remember, and it was definitely kind of sexist, I think, but that just like reminds you of this. It reminds me of that, but this is way better.
Yes, they feminized it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I like that this movie is like a combination of a lot of genres. Like there's rom-com, it's like kind of horror film, and then it's also a coming of age movie for Lisa, where she kind of goes from this girl who's like really just to herself, and she's sad for reasons if you watch the movie. But then she kind of comes into her shell when she realizes, oh, we're gonna start killing people.
Right.
But yeah, some of her actions are like I also like talking with like other people who have watched this movie, where it's like, is this justified, what she did? Some of it, yes, and then some of it she'd be taking too far. But
She's just a girl.
she's just a girl. And you would do it too for an undead boyfriend. You would do it too for Cole Sprouse. But I thought it was a very cute movie. I watched it a couple times, and I honestly really am looking forward to a sequel. It did terrible in the box office. I think it was due to the lack of advertising, because I feel like this movie had a combination of everything perfect for a very specific audience.
Yeah.
Like teenage girls who are into this kind of stuff, you know? So I think this movie is just an overall very cute watch. And
I haven't watched it for like, it's been a few months. I watched it earlier in the year, but I just remember it just looked so good, and it was hilarious.
it was so
was
funny.
so funny.
This is like the one of the first movies I've seen in a long time where I was watching it in the theater and like my jaw was dropped at some point. Physically, my jaw was dropped because I'm like, oh my gosh, just like the plot and like stuff that would happen. It's very funny.
A tiny detail that I noticed, as far as the visuals went, was that they put a film grain layer over the top of the movie to really give it that like crunchy 80s quality.
And
That's amazing.
Sorry.
Yeah. And there was one scene where Lisa was dreaming where it was like black and white and everything looked like it was made out of like paper. It was almost like that part of the movie was Tim Burton-esque. It was so visually beautiful. I don't know what was really happening in that scene, but it was very artsy-fartsy.
It was so cool. They had the moon. There's this one of the first movies ever made, a trip to the moon, and they had the moon from that in the background. If I remember right, at least I think they did, which was really cool. Mm-hmm. So, for any nerds out there, that's in there.
And even if you're not a nerd, watch this movie. It's so funny. The Cole Sprouse is in it too.
He has like
Who doesn't love Cole Sprouse? He does have one line at the end. He did a great job though. Apparently, like he took like mime lessons because he didn't speak the entire movie. Easy job for him. No, I'm just kidding.
Still, that's a testament to his strength as an actor. Being able to go through a whole movie and convey so much emotion as a reanimated like Victorian gentleman, and just you only get to speak once.
Yeah.
And you get all that across. You did a great job.
The romance was to die for. The chemistry was there, and so visually appealing. Really funny. It was to die for. I didn't mean to do that, but the romance was to die for.
It's good.
And she did die for it. Low key.
Yeah,
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. I'm sorry. Maybe we could cut that out.
it's fine. They can watch the movie. They should
They
watch
haven't
the
watched
movie.
it by now, that's their own fault.
Yeah, it came out on Valentine's Day, which I thought was cute too.
That is cute. I love
I
it.
feel like maybe if it came out closer to Halloween, it would have done better.
Yeah, but it's kind of, I don't know, it adds to the campiness that it was on Valentine's Day, too. I love it, though.
Would you call this a gothic story?
Yeah.
I've seen it most described as like horror rom-com.
She gets a goth glow up.
She does get a goth glow up.
Visually,
She's
it's not gothic at all, but I feel like a lot of the themes...
She's kind of emo.
Yes.
She's kind of emo for good reason, and I kind of live for it.
I love it. Everybody goes.
I live for her making bad decisions in this situation.
Definitely. I mean, she's kind of spurned by society. Like, even the family that she has doesn't really treat her like part of the family.
And I loved like the arc between her and Taffy. How like you could tell like Taffy loved her. Taffy's her stepsister. Taffy loved her. She's trying to include her, and Lisa just kind of like pushed her away. But then at the end, her and Taffy were good.
Yeah,
good.
you know, if it all works out in the end, it's fine.
Redeeming qualities. It all worked out. in the
It doesn't
end.
matter how many people die, as long as it all works out in the end.
Yeah.
The ends justify the means.
The ends justify the means. If you get Cole Sprouse at the end, kill whoever you have to.
Exactly, that's a great point.
Quote me on that.
Layla Boyorowski needs to come to the office.
I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
Yeah.
Anyways, I think that's all I have for Lisa Frankenstein because I don't want to say too much more because you guys need to go watch it. Like, seriously. I forgot what streaming platform it's on, but it's on there for free.
Peacock.
It's on Peacock. On there for free. You don't have to buy it, so you have no excuse.
Well, I mean, you did a Peacock subscription service.
That's true.
Well, I'll give you my login. Anybody who wants to watch it, if you don't have a Peacock login,
We endorse password
Go to
sharing.
me
Cinema's
up.
Instagram.
Cinephile's Instagram, shoot me a DM. I'll get you hooked up. Don't worry about it.
Yes. Okay, any other honorable mentions for, like, underrated movies that you feel like?
Ooh.
That we don't have to discuss, but if you just want to toss them out there.
Oh my gosh.
What's
The Bling Ring. Go watch The Bling Ring. It's an A24 film.
Sofia Coppola.
Sofia Coppola. It is about, it's like based off of a true story. A group of teenagers in like LA or something. They were bored and they decided, let's go break into rich people's houses. For an extended period of time, they broke into Paris Hilton's house, other socialites, very famous people. But they eventually got caught. But they did it for so long, they were able to break into these people's houses because Paris Hilton hid her key underneath a doormat. Emma Watson's in it, which I thought was an interesting take.
She has her American accent to me.
And then the girl from American Horror Story was in it. They actually filmed in Paris Hilton's house, and she was in it. Very campy, again. If this seems interesting to you, go watch it, because it's just funny.
It's so good. I love it, okay? I'm not, like, the vibe was really interesting. There's one part where it was kind of slow, I'll have to say, but then it's just so fun. You can't resist it.
Yeah. It's like you're watching teenagers live your dream, and then you're like,
Yeah.
hey, this was real. They just broke into Paris Hilton's house and stole things, and she didn't even notice.
Crazy.
That's kind of Paris Hilton's fault.
She hid her key under her doormat, and there were other people, and they got away with that. How does that work?
But that's what they stole. I'm just saying. The scarf,
This was
that's very
when was
2012
this?
hipster.
Yeah, this
It's-
was like early
those
early
outfits are definitely
2010s.
of their time.
The movie was made in 2013.
So then it was very 2012 hipster.
It was very
2013.
It's a funny watch.
It is funny.
It looks great.
It's like, how the heck did this actually happen?
No, but there was this one shot where it was like a really wide shot of them going into the house, and it was like it's just a really extended shot of like you see
of
them
her
through the
just-
windows stealing stuff from the house, but doesn't ever go in. It's really that part that was cool.
It's an interesting choice.
It was
Yeah.
They
interesting.
couldn't get the cameraman in.
Very cute. Yeah, and I also enjoyed just seeing inside of Paris Hilton's actual house.
Yeah, it was crazy. Like it was exactly what you would think Paris Hilton's house would look like. Like 5 closets, everything crazy like that.
She has her own like bar room, and she's just pictures of herself everywhere.
That's
Period.
insane. It's giving Jojo Siwa face card.
Yeah. And it's crazy how did they just figure that out? Were they not scared to go to Paris Hilton's house to just go and check around?
I guess not. But she had like
People have
security cameras or
dreams.
nothing, and this was
A girl can dream.
2000s.
When you're a 2012 hipster, you have no fear.
You
do what
have
you
no
want.
fear. Do what you want.
Post on Tumblr about it.
Hopefully, Paris Hilton doesn't leave her key under her mat anymore.
I don't
Especially now
think
she
she
does.
Let's go check. Field trip. Let's go check.
I think we should make a sequel.
Sequel.
We're the next bling ring.
Hey, y'all watch out for us on the news. Just in case you're arrested. No, I'm
See,
just.
I think you're gonna.
I don't endorse or promote crime and breaking into people's houses or killing people for Cole Sprouse.
But
Only for
you know,
Well,
hypothetically,
we might not engage in it, but it's definitely fun to watch.
yes.
It's fun to watch. That's what I love about movies. You get to watch people do stuff you would never do,
Exactly.
and just see how it would turn out
From a safe legal distance.
from a safe legal distance.
Unless you like pirate the movie, then it's not legal.
We don't endorse pirating here.
We don't endorse pirating, killing for Cole Sprouse, or breaking into Paris Hilton's house.
Disclaimer.
Or do
Wink,
we?
wink.
Any other underrated movies we wanted to mention?
I don't know. There's this one movie from my childhood. It definitely does not fit the vibe of this entire podcast. But I was
okay. It's
thinking
kinda
of Nanny
everywhere.
McPhee. I loved that movie.
I don't think I ever watched
It
it.
Me
has.
neither.
It's like
Or maybe I
It's
did.
like-
Pull it up.
So you're telling me you have
Mary
never seen
Poppins,
Nancy?
but like backstreet, country like
Country
hooligans, country England hooligans. And
Oh,
I remember this woman.
And it has the blonde guy from Maze Runner. I don't remember.
No.
It's the that guy.
It had Tom Pretty Singster.
Yeah.
She turns pretty at the end of the movie, though.
She does.
Is that not
After
the
they become
freaking
good.
Yes.
Is that not
Because
the
her
girl
looks
from Jessie?
were-
Y'all remember that the ugly girl from
Agatha.
Jessie? Agatha! Pull up Agatha! Agatha from Jessie. They got like the same moles and everything.
It's okay.
Yes.
It's fun.
That's what
Nanny
podcasts are for.
McPhee just like
Agatha
resembles
Jessie.
how the children are acting, and when they become good, she becomes.
I knew I reckoned. Yes! That's Nanny McPhee!
That is the
And they did her so dirty because she's like actually so pretty.
Yeah.
Look at her, cutie patootie.
No, do y'all remember that one sister that was pretty?
Yes.
That's so funny.
Poor Agatha. And the poor Nanny McPhee. The tooth and the moles and
She's had some brow
everything.
blindness.
If she was not directly inspired by Nanny McPhee.
And it's just
I
some
don't know what she
crazy things happen in Nanny McPhee because she's babysitting like 8
and
children, and they're all bad. And
And
they,
isn't
like,
Agatha a nanny too?
Yes.
Yes, she is.
Inspired.
And she gets
Inspired.
prettier as And also, she's like a fever dream for the kids because like she just disappears. She's like, I'll come back when you actually need me. And in the sequel, she comes back because like I don't know, like their dad they have to move or something, and they need her, so she comes back, and she just like appears like basically like Mary Poppins.
Wait, so guys, we
But-
technically don't learn Nanny McPhee's first name. What if it's Agatha? Nanny Agatha McPhee.
Oh my gosh. You're so
What if it's Agatha's like her daughter? I feel like we need to rewatch the episodes with Agatha to see if there was any
No,
like
but
callback.
Agatha is evil, and Nanny McPhee is not. So
Yeah, I don't like
Maybe
Agatha.
Agatha's,
I don't like
like,
that hoe. Or Miss
she's just
Chesterfield.
misunderstood.
I actually love Miss Chesterfield. She was actually like pretty right for like everything she did.
Honestly,
Maybe doesn't get on my nerves.
Rhoda.
But this was my childhood, and my mom definitely used that cough syrup scene against me a lot because like they refused to take their cough syrup, and then because they were faking sick. So then Miss Nanny McPhee like forced them to drink this really gross cough syrup and made them. So they learned their lesson basically. She did a bunch of bad things to help them get better, but it was just to make them admit that they weren't sick.
Is that the guy from Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children? That's another movie. Miss Peregrine's
I love
Home
that
for
movie.
Peculiar Children.
That's
it's kind
a book series.
Yes, it was
Yes.
kind of like low-key scary when I first watched it. It's
Yes.
like 3 hours long.
Yeah.
I think. Really good movie.
crazy.
Really
Like,
cute.
It's
really
really
good.
good. Movie, I think. Like,
Yeah, it's a Disney movie, and I remember whenever it came out, my parents wouldn't let me watch it because they said it looked too scary.
Yeah, my dad refuses to watch it. Like I
It
showed
looked
it
like
to
a
him
movie
once,
poster.
but
I made my Mima watch it, and she said, "Nah, that movie was
Oh my
stupid
goodness.
and weird."
Well, maybe it's for the stupid and weird people.
Yeah.
Okay.
stupid and weird people need movies too.
Exactly.
is it? I don't know what kind of
Miss.
miss it is.
It's MISS, I think, but I don't. I think it'll show up.
It'll come
Yeah.
up either way.
Harry. I don't know how to spell
Here, it shows up.
Okay.
Peregrine.
There it is.
You
Right
go.
Yes, it is a very odd movie. Who was it directed
She's
by?
such
A
an
Tim Burton
icon.
film. Shocker. A Tim
Oh, I
Burton
love
film.
that.
She's such an
But no, I was so mad because as someone who read the first book, the fire girl and the girl who would float, they switched around their names.
They did.
What?
Like from the book to the movie, they switched their names. Like the girl who could do fire, her name was actually the name that the girl who could do air had in the movie.
That's so weird.
like
that's
they flipped
weird.
them around. It was weird.
Wait,
It was so
Why?
random. Like they were the only two characters that had their names flipped around too.
Interesting.
Yeah.
There's a,
But
this is
I was
such a
living for
detailed
the
poster, like,
romance
look at all
plot.
the little kids in the background.
I'm just a sucker for a weird romance plot.
Yes.
No, Samuel
was so
Jackson
sweet.
playing the villain that would like eat the kids' eyes and stuff.
What?
Yeah, I remember
They had like a big bowl of eyeballs.
It's kind of a sick
was
movie.
Like, it was like all these villains. They were like they could disguise themselves as humans, but they were actually like these big, scary, Slender Man-looking monsters that would eat the victim's eyes.
It was a really weird movie. Don't watch it if you don't like stuff that's kind of sick.
No, you should watch it. I don't care.
But do watch
These
it.
things.
See, they look like Slender Man.
And they like take the eyeballs out of
It
kids,
looks like
scared,
Slenderman.
and that's how they like stay alive.
Connected
But
in time. That looks
anyway,
exactly
Samuel L.
like Slenderman. That's
Jackson
crazy.
plays one of them. He's like the main villain of the whole movie.
Bro, they got Slenderman.
Scary as freak.
See, look,
No, I'm definitely gonna go home and watch
it's
this.
so
Yes,
good though.
me too.
Like,
This was a really good movie.
Okay. This looks like a good Halloween watch too.
Yeah.
yes.
There was another movie. There was a Halloween one. It had Jack Black in it,
No,
and
because
it was
it's
like in a
sad.
house.
A house with a clock in their walls.
Oh, I love that one
That I
too.
watched.
Pull that up too. We're gonna give you guys a list. You have homework.
No, but the Miss
Mandatory
Peregrine
watches.
movie, it's sad because
A house with a clock in its walls.
His grandpa used to like go to the house
Wasn't
and
the
visit
hot
like,
guy
that one
in
girl.
it?
Do you remember?
Yeah.
And then his grandpa
think there's
was
a
like
hot guy
one of
in
the
this
first
movie.
victims. Like he comes out of his grandpa's house and his grandpa's laying there on the floor with his eyes gone.
And they show you, like,
And they show
don't,
you. Like,
they don't
it's
like.
terrifying.
This movie was good too. Maybe the kid was not in it that I was thinking of. I was thinking of the guy that's like a musician now, Wallows, but I think he was in like
He was in the Goosebumps movie.
the Goosebumps movie. This movie was good too.
Yeah.
Why is it in that's the Spanish version?
Yeah, that's the Spanish poster.
In case you guys
El misterio de la casa del tiempo.
Hey! This movie was
Oh,
good
Miss
too.
Ramon taught me well.
Love that woman to death.
Okay.
Also, the
movie
bell's
was
about to ring.
great.
though.
About to ring.
Okay.
So, I think we should just say if there's any, follow us on Instagram at Cinema Files Podcast. Okay, and if you have any recommendations about what we should do, what kind of videos you would like to see, that would be perfect. You know, because we're trying to figure out
What do the people want to see?
Yeah.
What do the people want to see? We're doing this for you guys.
We only have
We're
one year
definitely not
left
doing this for
to
us.
Year's
Last year we did a
season.
lot of like some more mainstream stuff. Let us know if you want to go like what direction you want us to take this in. Do some more videos like this where it's just like kind of the vibe. Or any specific
I like going on
movies.
tangents.
Yeah.
I really like that. So maybe we're just gonna do that even if you guys don't like it.
Well, yeah. That's why there's a button
Well,
skip.
yes.
And this is why it's our podcast,
Yeah.
not yours.
So